video was created several years ago using a previous version of Visual Studio. The differences to the current version of Visual Studio are primarily cosmetic, most notably the older window styles, and everything discussed applies to today's working environment. As time permits, I will redevelop this video so it's current with the most recent version of Visual Studio. When you're designing your form, as you're dragging controls, you can get them to align pretty easily by just kind of snapping into place as you drag them. Sometimes you get little ruler guides that show how they relate to other controls. And if you simply create a button, copy it, and paste it, that would create a button that's going to be the exact same size as the original button. Those are little tips that can help you in terms of aligning things and creating controls that are all the same size. Sometimes, though, as you're developing stuff, you may not necessarily go through those steps. You end up with a bunch of text boxes that are different lengths, buttons that are different sizes, they're not aligned. And I want to show you some tools that are available to you in the IDE to help you manage these controls so that they basically are all similar, make them the same size, align them, and so forth. Under the View menu, down towards the bottom is the Toolbars menu item, and it brings up a submenu, and you can see there's a whole bunch of different toolbars available to us. And I right now have the standard toolbar. There's one here, though, called Layout. I'm going to bring that up, or choose it, and you can see I added this new button bar. So I'm going to start with my 3 buttons down here. I have 3 buttons of different sizes. I'm going to select all 3. And there are options on this layout toolbar for aligning selected controls. Now these choices are grayed out if I only have one control selected. I can't align just one control. There needs to be multiple controls. As soon as I select a second control, I'm holding down the Shift key and clicking to get the handles. Those options become available. So I have those 3 buttons selected, and there's an option up here to align them on their tops. I'm going to select that, and that puts all buttons, all my selected buttons, at the same level here on the tops of the buttons. Now, there are also different sizes, and there's an option on the layout toolbar to make them the same size. Now the size that we'll use is whichever control you chose first, and you can tell which one you chose first because the handles are hollow. The handles of the other controls are solid. So if I were to choose Make Same Size, all 3 of these buttons will be the same size as the Add Record button. I'm going to undo that, pressing Control Z, and just to demonstrate that actually is the case, I'm going to choose the Clear Fields button first, then the other 2 buttons, and make them the same size. And now they're all the same size as my clear fields. Okay, I'm going to go back and do this again for the Add Record. And we'll say that's the size that I want. I also would like to have these evenly distributed. And so I'm going to move the button on the right over a little bit, so it's about the same width from the edge as the Add Record button. And I'm going to select these 3 buttons. And there's a choice on the layout to make the horizontal spacing equal. I'm going to select that. And now the spacing is the same between the first and second button and the second and third button. I'm going to choose my 3 text fields or text boxes, and on the layout menu I'm going to choose Align Left. And then I'm going to select, holding down the Shift key, the phone button first, and then the 2 names. I want to make all 3 of these the same width as the phone, so I can choose Make Same Size, and now they're all the same size. And then finally, just as we changed made the horizontal spacing equal between our buttons, I can make the spacing between my text boxes equal on the vertical. So there's an option here to make vertical spacing equal. And I'm going to do the same thing with these 3 labels. Make them evenly spaced vertically. And here I'm going to align these on the right. And I'm going to push these a little closer to the text boxes that they are identifying. I can simply drag all 3. Or you can also use the arrow keys on the keyboard and nudge them a pixel at a time. So now I have my form looking much nicer simply by using the layout toolbar.